folks, Dave here at Thunder Mesa Studio with a Workbench Wednesday vlog. I hope you are having a great day wherever you are and whenever you happen to be watching this. You know, I'm still getting settled into the new studio here, figuring out where, everything goes and getting comfortable. But before I move forward on a bunch of new projects, which I have planned, I wanted to address some of the damage that occurred while moving to this new space. Wasn't a lot. The layouts themselves arrived pretty much unscathed, but I did have a little bit of damage to some rolling stock and structures, and I wanted to fix that before moving forward. So that's what we're going to do today in this Workbench Wednesday vlog. I am going to, assess the damage and see what can be fixed. Now, the first and probably most serious casualty of the move was Caboose number 93. While I was packing the rolling stock away, this one slipped out of my fingers and hit the floor with quite a bit of force. Parts went flying everywhere. Fortunately, I was able to gather up all the parts, and now I'm assessing the damage, and let's see if I can put Humpty Dumpty back together again here. Now, Caboose 93 was built from a really nice kit that's offered by Chris Bond at Full Circle Models, and I'll put a link down below to that. And this is the narrower version of the Caboose. He makes it in kind of a 2-foot gauge and then a 3-foot gauge version. As you can see, when it hit the floor, got some damage to the frame. The frame is resin, it's cast resin, so that can be a little fragile. And it broke. Looks like the couplers survived unscathed. A lot of times things hit, coupler first and it breaks the couplers, but these are KD number 5 metal couplers, and they are in good shape. But I lost a step here, broke the end beam, the weights went flying, the 4-wheel truck here went flying. I did manage to find the both of the KD wheel sets here. My conductor figure came loose. And the smoke jack. So I think I'm going to start by repairing this frame here. See if I can glue these resin pieces back together. Fortunately, it's a pretty clean break. There's a chunk missing right there. But maybe we'll just rust that up and make it look like it's part of the weathering. All right, so I'm going to need some cyanoacrylate. Probably going to need some epoxy, which I've got right here. Need some baking soda and some kicker for the cyano. And start with that. Put a little CA down here. See if we can glue this back together. Just kick that with some accelerator. Okay. Now for the steps. When it fell, it landed right on that corner, and that took most of the impact. It's always kind of a heart-wrenching moment when one of your favorite models hits the floor. But, what I always tell myself is I built all of these things, so, if they break, I know how to fix them. Let's kick that. This looks like it could be real world damage here. So I'm going to put a little CA on there, put some baking soda on it, and that gives a little texture. And when all that's dry, I'm going to paint that to look like rust. Get some rust on these steps. And now, glue the truck back on. And you can see when it came off, it took these chunks out. And those aren't just chunks of paint, that's chunks of the resin, so that, so the CA held, the glue held, but it took pieces of the resin with it. So I'm going to glue it back on in exactly the same spots, the same way, so that it will sit on there cleanly and evenly, and it'll refill those spots with the chunks of resin that are and then broken off onto this piece. The color I used to paint this frame originally was this Rust-Oleum dark brown camo. So I'm going to take it in the other room and touch it up a little bit with the same paint. The smoke jack was also cast resin, and it was cracked here near the base where this unit goes into the roof. And so I went ahead and cut it all the way through and sanded it down a little bit so it'll sit level. Now I'm going to glue it back together like that. Use just a little baking soda around the base here. I don't know if you can see that, but it also broke up here on the top on this wind guard. So I need to repair that as well. And that's pretty delicate. Try and push this little piece of resin out without breaking it the rest of the way off. And then put some CA on the inside. Carve away that excess baking soda. The baking soda kicks the CA, helps it set faster, and also adds strength because it kind of gussets it around the joint. And once this is painted, it's just going to look like soot on there. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and do this. It's going to look like soot or creosote. Just going to put a little bit up here on the top of the stack also. Now we'll paint this flat black once again. This repair also gives me a chance to fix something I've been wanting to fix on this car. And as when I originally built the car, I added a lot of weight to it. Actually about twice as much as it needed, because I was afraid, you know, it was too light, it would not track well. So I added way too much weight to it. These are the little weights that come with MDC roundhouse kits, which I happen to have a lot of. And I am going to use about half as much weight this time, if I can pry these apart. That was easy. And we're going to epoxy this in, once again, right where it was before. Just a 50-50 mixture of some 5-minute epoxy. Now, if you don't like the smell of epoxy, hold your nose through this part of the video. I kind of like the smell of epoxy because it reminds me of making models. So it's a good association. Some people can't stand it though, and I get it. Smear this on. And try to drop that right where it was before. And since it's 5-minute epoxy, we need to wait about 10 minutes for it to set up. Actually, while this epoxy is still workable and while the camera's still rolling, I actually want to glue the conductor back in too. He's standing up on top of some blocks here to give him some height so that when the body is on here, his head is visible through the cupola windows. That's about dry now, so I'm going to use some acrylics. I'm going to dry brush them on, bring back that weathering a little bit. Some granite gray and some territorial beige. Two of the best colors for this. I like to mix them together. Make kind of a dirty light gray. Get 99.9% of the paint off the brush. This is a stiff brush or semi-stiff brush. I'm going to hit these bolts down here in the end, the truss rod bolts, end beams, top of the brake wheel. This hardware down here also. I want this to look like a hard-working car. Get the sides of the trucks. And I want to gray down these end platforms a little bit. It looks like lots of people have been walking on them. And the steps. Now I'll do a pass with my pan pastels. I'm going to start with the dark rust color on these steps, a bit on the couplers, on these bolsters, basically all the metal pieces. Take the lighter rust and just on the corners of these steps. Don't remember where our broken step was now. It's all blended in nicely. Oh, there it is. I see it. Where I put that baking soda. Just dab on top of that with the lighter rust. Looks like that's just corroding away. Okay, I think I'll get a coat of clear matte finish on there and we'll be good to go. Now I can reinstall the smoke jack. Let's see, it goes this way. I need to do a little touch up around the bottom there, it looks like. I believe the color I used on this roof was apple barrel pavement. And I'll hit that with a little bit of black chalk. You can flip this over, pop the wheels back in. There you go. I am going to tack the body on with a couple of drops of CA, because the reason it fell on the floor in the first place is because I picked it up by the body and didn't have a grip on the frame, and the body came off. Then I dropped, and so this hit the floor, and then I dropped that too. So I'm going to try to prevent that from happening again. Like a glove. Success. Now I've got some structures with a little bit of damage, but it's pretty minor. On these structures from Rainbow Ridge, the Rainbow Ridge Clarion, the newspaper office, suffered a catastrophic failure on its flagpole. And similarly, over here on the Pat Casey's Last Chance Saloon, the Doc Holliday dentist sign broke off. So I need to repair both of those things. I think I'll start with the flagpole. Go ahead and break this the rest of the way off. What did I use here? This looks like a 2x2. I'm going to go ahead and shave the rest of this off of the roof, or actually the cornice, I should say. Now, these two buildings are tethered together because they share a common cord for their lighting. So they kind of go together everywhere. Looks like 5 scale feet long. I'm going to use something a little bit more robust than this time around. See if I can get the flag off of here without any damage. No problem. Well, this time out, I'm going to use a piece of wire from my scrap box. Sorry, I don't know the exact size of this wire. That at 5 feet. Just want to round the end off a little bit. I want to add just a little bit of a notch right here where that original hole was. I don't want to go very deep, but basically just going through the paint here just to have a place to sit. I'm trying to get any old glue off of this, so we'll get a nice clean joint. A couple of drops of cyanoacrylate. I'll hold that in place for a few seconds. And this scrap wire has already got some paint on it, but it's a little splotchy, so I'm going to paint it dark brown, cover up any of the shine. Now I can glue it right into this groove. Make sure it's hanging straight down. Touch that up a little bit. All right, fixed. Now for Doc Holliday. First we'll just take this all the rest of the way off. Now, both of these structures are originally from Disneyland. This one is still there. This is in the Big Thunder queue, except now it's painted for the Gold Nugget Dance Hall. This one is long gone, unfortunately. Both of these were originally part of the little mining town of Rainbow Ridge on the old mine train through Nature's Wonderland attraction. And they will be part of my town of Rainbow Ridge on the Thunder Mesa layout as well. So this, I just need to glue this back on. There's nothing to this. Just going to get a little Eileen's tacky glue on the end. And there's a little board there that this is supposed to adhere to. Just like that. I almost forgot. This got knocked loose also. This is my Golden Horseshoe Review sign. Sits out here on the boardwalk. Another little nod to Disneyland's past. And the final thing on my repair list today, Thunder Mesa's Riverboat, the Canyon Queen. Once again, the damage here is very minor. The Western River Expedition flag fell off of the mast here, so I want to glue that back on. If you missed the build of this riverboat, this is started life as a kit from Kitwood Hill Models, and I made some modifications to it, added some laser cut gingerbread trim, things like that to make it a little bit more Disney looking. Western River Expedition Company, by the way, that comes from the defunct attraction that was planned for Walt Disney World, designed by Mark Davis, the Western River Expedition, which would have been, best way to describe it as a Wild West version of Pirates of the Caribbean. But they decided to go with a literal copy of Pirates of the Caribbean instead, so Western River Expedition never got built. But part of the complex that it would have been in, that was known as Thunder Mesa, did get built, and that was Big Thunder Mountain. Thanks to Tony Baxter, he was able to save that part of the plan. And they built one in Anaheim and one in Orlando, and the rest is history. And fortunately, that's really the last thing I need to fix, at least for the moment. The move went remarkably smoothly with very, very little damage to the layouts or the equipment. So very happy about that. And I'm happy that you joined me today for this week's Workbench Wednesday video. If you enjoyed it, I hope you'll hit like. It really does help with the algorithm. And subscribe and hit that notification bell if you want to be notified when the next video is coming from Thunder Mesa Studio. It's absolutely free. You can also follow Thunder Mesa over on Instagram at thunder.mesa and check out the resources available at the Thunder Mesa Studio website at thundermesa.studio. As always, a huge shout out and thank you to our Patreon members who help to make these videos possible. Until next time, keep moving forward, my friends. Adios for now.